Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another first impressions. I know, don't even talk to me about it, about the Midnight palette. On the Midnight palette by Beauty Bay. I already uploaded first impressions using the Earthy palette, the 16-pan Earthy palette from Beauty Bay, and today is the Midnight. I also bought the berries, so that will be coming soon. This is a nice little blue and purple 16-pan color story. I loved using the Earthy palette, so I hope that this will be no exception. This is, I believe, in replacement of the Book of Magic palette that was discontinued. I really love this palette, and this is like a version of that palette without the neutrals. I feel like this is truly a more condensed version of the Book of Magic, whereas the Earthy palette, for example, was more of like just the greens from the Wilderness palette. So I'm excited to use this. I typically really enjoy Beauty Bay's quality and shadow formula and stuff like that. So I'm excited to use it. Let's do some swatches. I will also do some swatch comparisons after I do my first impressions on this, like doing a look. So let's just start. So the first shade is the shade Lavender, which is a lavender matte. Very nice. The shade Tranquil is a like pastel light lavender, which I believe is in the Book of Magic palette, although I could be wrong. The shade Jellies is a metallic, kind of like mid-toned, true purple. This isn't the like super sparkly metallic Beauty Bay formula. This is more of just like a regular metallic. Then we have another matte. This is the shade Catch, which is a cool toned matte purple. Then we have this shade Voodoo, which is a matte deep purple. I believe this is in the Book of Magic palette. Then we have the shade Gleam. These shades are like quite hard to read. This is a beautiful shade. This is like a periwinkle shimmer, and this is the really sparkly Beauty Bay formula. That's really beautiful. Then we have a matte called Iris, which is a beautiful matte, bright purple, and the shade Electric, which is so pretty. It's such a pretty, like bright, sparkly purple. Then we have the blues. This is the shade Sky, which again is more of just like a regular metallic formula, like a sky blue. The shade Denim, which is a deeper, maybe I'd call this like a mid-toned, like navy blue. The shade Bubbles, which is a deeper sparkly blue. The shade Mist, which is a light pastel blue. And then the last row we have the shade Cerulean, which is a bright mid-toned blue. The shade Steel, which is a metallic gray. This also looks to be just like a regular metallic formula. The shade Hex, which is a black. This is in the Book of Magic palette, although it's just a matte black. And then the shade Potion, which is also in the Book of Magic palette, which is a blue shimmer with a purple like shift to it. So this is what the palette looks like. Truly a half purple, half blue palette. I think it looks really nice. Again, as with the Earthy palette, I like the range of depths. And I like the tones. I don't know, I think it looks like a really good like duo chromatic palette. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm gonna call it that. So now I'm gonna do some up close swatches, as always inspired by Lauren May Beauty, and then I will get into the first impressions, and then at the end of the video I will do some swatch comparisons between this and the Book of Magic palette. I gonna do? So I'm gonna start with the shade Mist, which is this light blue. I'm gonna try to only use like newer shades that aren't in the Book of Magic palette today. I primed my eyes with a NARS smudge proof eyeshadow base, and I have not set my lids. And I think I'm gonna try to use both the blues and the purples. No problems with that matte at all. Let's see. Maybe I'll take the shade Iris, which is this brighter purple here. And put this on my outer corner and halfway through my crease. But I think I'm gonna put a blue in the front part. I love the bright tone of this purple though. It's like my favorite color of purple. And I feel like any blending issues that may arise could be because of this Morphe brush that I'm using, because it's really not the best. And now I'm going to take the shade Cerulean, which is this brighter blue here. And I'm just going to put this in the front part of my crease and blend it into the shade Iris. I still haven't decided what shades I want to put on my lid yet though. The shadow is building really, really nicely as well. Ooh, I love this blend between the shade Iris and the Cerulean shade. It's so pretty. This outer purple shade maybe is looking a little bit patchy, but we'll see how it performs moving forward. So now I am going to take Voodoo, which is a shade in the Book of Magic palette, but I just want to use this to deepen my crease, so I'm gonna use it to just run it through my outer corner and my crease and deepen this up, because the darkest blue denim I don't think is going to be as dark as I'm going to want it for deepening my crease. But there is a black, so that is always a plus for me. And this is building really nicely in my outer corner and through my crease, especially because I did layer Iris a good amount of times. And sometimes I typically don't find beauty base shadows to be like, I typically find them to be buildable, but sometimes, you know, it has a formula that can tend to go patchy if you build it up too much, but I think we have not reached critical saturation yet. And I absolutely love purple and blue together. Look at these shades together, they're so nice. And I find Voodoo doesn't look like it's going to deepen up a ton in the pan, or at least to me, but it does build really, really well. And I like that beauty base shadows will build and get darker, so you can like build them to be a deeper depth with more layers. Now I'm just going to take Iris and Cerulean, the brushes that I used with them, but no additional shadow, and just blend Voodoo out. Okay, for my lid, I think that I've decided to take the shade Steel, this gray in the center of my lid, and Sky in the front part. I'm not going to cut my crease or anything, but I am going to take some NYX glitter primer first and put this all over the area that I want the shadow to go. Okay, so my camera died while I was doing this eye, so I'm just going to do the other eye on camera. Again, starting with Steel in the center. I love this shade. I think it's so smart to include this like steely kind of shade in this palette. I think it works so well with purple and blue. And I like that it's not just like a bright silver, it's like a gunmetal-y silver. Very nice. And then taking Sky. And again, both of these are more like traditional metallics. They're not like Beauty Bay's kind of more famous metallic formula or like well-known metallic formula, but it is like just a nice bright metallic. I have no really complaints about about it at all. And then I'm just gonna merge, like blend these shades Steel and Sky into each other. Okay, now I'm going to take, let's see, the brush, no, hold on. Okay, now I'm gonna take a touch more iris, just a very slight tap. Run this over the edge. My shadow, my crease where it's supposed to be, and then take more cerulean and run this again over the edge, so we are still making sure that those shades are there. And I'm gonna take Voodoo and intensify. Oh, actually, hold on, no, I'm gonna take Iris as well and merge this into Steel so we don't have a super harsh line. And then I'm gonna take Voodoo and deepen my outer corners, and also run this through the front part of my crease and re-intensify that shade there, and also use that to blend out the metallics because I'm not doing a cut crease, so I want to just have it be a little bit softer. Then I'm on a smaller blending brush. I'm going to take the shade Mist, which was the light blue, and blend the edges of my shadow out on the edges. Just again to bring that light blue back and make sure that the very edges are all nice and blended out. And this is why I put the tinted brow gel on at the end, because now the tails of my brows are all light blue. And then I'm going to take Steel and Sky on my fingers and intensify these shades on my lid. For my lower lash line, I'm going to take Cerulean because I want to kind of tie that blue in the front part of my eye onto my lower lash line. So I'm just going to put this all underneath and then blend it out, connecting it to my top shadow. Okay, and then I'm going to take Voodoo and use this to deepen my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take Mist, that light blue, and blend this out. Now I'm going to take the shade Jellies, which is this purple here at the top, and put this on the inner part of my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take Gleam, this beautiful periwinkle shade, and put that in my inner corners. I'm going to give that a little spray before I put it down though. I don't know how light this is gonna be, but we'll see. Yeah. It's not really light. Like, I probably wouldn't use this consistently as an inner corner shade. It's definitely more of like a statement rather than like just a highlight, you know? Oh, that's so pretty. I can't wait to put this shade all over my lid. And then finally, I'm going to take the shade Hex, which is this matte black, and as I typically choose to do, put this in my outer corner. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna leave it. I'm going to finish up my face and my lips and then be back to conclude and then do some comparison swatches. Okay, and this is the finished look. I really love it. I love blue and purple together. I think it's such a good combo. So on my lips, I have the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in, or no, just the NYX Lip Pencil in Nude Truffle with the Sephora. Hold on. Outrageous Plump Effect Gloss in the shade 01. It's just basically clear. Maybe it's a little bit too warm for this look, but we're just gonna go with it. So now let's do some swatch comparisons between the Midnight palette and the Book of Magic. Here, let me do a little. So this is what they look like side by side. So you can see there's not really any teal shades in here, and then also no neutrals. but there are a few shades that are similar and repeating. So let's just go across. So the first shade that is, oh, actually, I thought that Tranquil was in here, but it's not. So let's see. I actually think there might be less repeating shades on this one compared to the Earthy and the Wilderness, but let's see. So the first real repeat where the names are the same is Voodoo in the Midnight palette and the Book of Magic. So top is the shade Voodoo from the Midnight palette, and this is Voodoo from the Book of Magic. So similar to Ivy with Earthy and Wilderness, if I build it up, they can be the same depth, but initially it does look like Voodoo from the Book of Magic palette is a little bit deeper and even a little bit more cool toned. The next true repeat shade, let's see, the shade Hex, which is just this matte black. Not entirely sure that you're going to be able to see a ton of difference. I mean, a matte black is a matte black in a lot of ways, but this is a matte black from the Midnight palette, and this is the matte black from the Book of Magic. They're both black. And then the last shade is the shade Potion. So this is repeating. Am I in the, maybe I'll scooch over here. So Potion. So this is Potion from the Midnight palette. And this is Potion from the Book of Magic. Yeah, so these actually do look a little bit different. This Potion shade from the Midnight palette doesn't really have that purple shift that Potion from the Book of Magic palette does at all, and it looks to be a little bit less, it almost looks a little bit more sheer and doesn't feel quite as like putty like, and definitely doesn't have the purple shift. So there's actually only 3 shades that are repeating, but some are similar. So let's see, let me go through these shades here. So Lavender, there's nothing really that is super similar to this. I'm going to compare this shade here, Tranquil, to the shade Enchanted, which I actually, from the Book of Magic palette, which I thought they were the same, but they're not. So let's do Tranquil, Enchanted. So this is Tranquil from the Midnight palette and Enchanted from the Book of Magic. So Tranquil is a lot more lavender, more purple. Enchanted almost looks more pink comparatively. And then I'm going to take this shade called Jellies from the Midnight palette and compare this to the shade Cursed from the Book of Magic. So this is Jellies, Cursed. So here we have Jellies and Cursed. So they're similar-ish, but Jellies is more of a warmer purple, whereas Cursed almost has like a blue shine to it. But they're similar-ish. Again, what is this called? Catch. There's nothing really similar, in my opinion. And then Voodoo I've compared. Gleam, again, nothing really similar. Iris, I could compare it to Sorcery, but Sorcery from the Book of Magic looks a lot warmer. And then there is Electric, which again, there's not really any like deep metallic purples in the Book of Magic palette. And it's definitely much more purple compared to Potion. Sky, again, not really any like lighter blues like this in the Book of Magic. Denim, I could compare to Cursed. So I'm going to compare Denim to this deep blue shade Cursed from the Book of Magic. So this is Denim and this is Cursed. So actually, maybe Denim will end up being a little bit deeper than I think. It does look a little bit brighter than Cursed. Cursed almost looks more ironically like a denim blue shade, but they're like probably would give a similar effect on the eyes. And then Mist, there's really nothing like it in the Book of Magic. Cerulean, I could compare to the shade Trick, which is another mid-toned blue. I want to say that my initial thought is that Cerulean is going to be a little bit lighter. Yeah, so this is Cerulean, and then we have Trick. Let me compare it to Elixir as well. So Elixir is again a little bit lighter and brighter. So there's no really exact dupe. And this is the shade Elixir, by the way. Steel, again, there's nothing really that similar. Hex I've already compared, and Potion I've already compared. So again, less repeating shades from the Midnight palette compared to the Book of Magic, which could be a good or a bad thing depending on whether you already have the Book of Magic palette and you were interested in buying this palette. I don't think that there's like as many exact or like super close dupes within the two, but if you miss out on the Book of Magic palette, that could be a downside for you. But also I feel like you can get a lot of similar looks but using the Midnight palette if you were just interested in using like the blue and the purple shades. So that's kind of my opinion on this palette. Performance wise, I had no issues at all. I really like the way this look turned out, and I already have so many ideas on what I want to do using this palette for the 3 looks 1 palette video that I'm going to hopefully make. Let me know what you guys think of this palette and its comparison to the Book of Magic, and whether or not you ended up getting this. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I try to upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and sometimes Sunday. I'm not always super strict about that, but that's the goal. If you want to stick around, and I would love to see you in my next video. Bye.